Alright, so I'm currently trying to platinum every single type of EA game that there is out there, and if I can't do it before the channel hits 1 million subscribers, then my punishment is I have to platinum Fortnite, one of the longest, hardest, and most grindy games of all time. So make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Anyways, today I got the platinum trophy on Need for Speed Heat. As you guys know, this EA challenge has every single Need for Speed game on the PS5 inside of it, and I'm trying to race through them, if you will, to platinum every single one because that's cool. But Need for Speed Heat is one of the best Need for Speed games ever made. It has high ratings from both players, critics, and it's just overall a very loved game in the franchise. And I personally did enjoy it quite a lot. Despite playing it so much, I got a bit burnt out while doing so. However, it landed me in the top 30 fastest platinums, so W me, I'm so proud. In total, however, Need for Speed Heat contains 43 trophies, and it took me about 30 hours to complete, which is 20 faster than the guide creator said. Interesting.
That's what I'm saying.
But starting off today, there was quite a few stages to the platinum. However, I sort of did a mixture of them all, not really tunnel visioning on one in particular. But to begin, you obviously have to do the story, so that's what I did, and you get thrown into an intro of the game regardless of the modes you pick to play in. And the intro of the game kicks off with us doing a race of sorts with all the other characters in the game. However, once you do finish it, regardless of how you place, we won't talk about mine, the cops begin to chase after us. And this sets up the entire plot for Need for Speed Heat. Racers versus cops is full on throughout the game and in the city we are in, which is called Palm City. Shout out to the city sign looking only slightly better than the Detroit city sign. What are we doing, folks? Anyways, as I was saying, the cops in Palm City are insane. Even on the easiest difficulty of the game, they are absolutely ruthless. And the plot for the story is pretty much about this high-speed task force being brought in to deal with the racers because Palm City has a load of them and ordinary cops can't do anything about it. Oh yeah, this game also did release around 2020, so a few characters have masks on them, and I find that personally hilarious. Poorly aged things be like. But after those cutscenes, you then take over as yourself because we were previously playing as another character in the game story, and you get to choose your starting car as a new resident of the Palm City racing scene. I chose to go with the Ford Mustang because it had the best stats out of any of the other cars from what I saw, but real talk, Mustangs are ass. If that makes you mad, you probably have a tiny penis. Anyways, after picking your car, the first trophy of the game from doing that then pops. So you then have to begin the story, and it functions a lot like most Need for Speed game stories do, with us having the need to prove ourselves. Yup, I bet you thought I was gonna say something else, huh? I would never swoop that low. I'm just kidding, I definitely would. So I just began to do a few races. It was pretty mundane for the most part due to us having a starter car. I was also just trying to get past the intro of the game so I could go do a few other trophies before really strapping in. I did get to experience the nighttime racing, however, of Need for Speed Heat, and this game kind of has two different versions of it, which is another really cool part of it. Daytime and nighttime. With daytime being the more calm version of the racing scene where you can earn money inside of it as well, whereas nighttime is the much more aggressive version of the game where cops come after you a lot more, and you also earn rep inside of this instead of cash for everything. After a few more cutscenes and me getting welcomed into the garage for real this time, I got a trophy from reaching rep level 2, a small accomplishment in comparison to the level 50 trophy much later on. But that also allowed me to push past the intro of this game and get set free. I then unlocked crews, which are a little thing in the game where you can be a part of a crew, I guess, with other people. These function as just more ways to level up, earn rewards, do new races, but there's also quite a few trophies tied to them, with the hardest being a part of a max level crew. And this is so hard to do that whenever you look up the trophy online, it's just full of people complaining and asking for people to invite them to a max crew for the trophy, which is also what I did do. Yep, it's shameless.
Oh my god!
But huge shout out and thanks to T1 React for inviting me to his max crew after I asked on my Discord. Once more, if you guys want to join the Discord, it's linked below. But here's that trophy after I did join, saving me forever on the grind. Anyways, moving on from that, I began to play the story more, and I actually got a few trophies only a few minutes in from completing a daily challenge. I also have no clue what the challenge was, but it was called Speedy Boy. Interesting verbiage, but this game was made in 2020, so no judgment. I then did quite a few races in the story. Not all of them were necessarily story races, but just, you know, races in general. Both to get money, but also because I didn't totally know what to do at first. This game's story kind of just needs you to have high-level cars and a lot of rep levels to unlock the missions. And there also isn't really a ton of actual missions in the story, to be honest. But I ended up giving my car a SpongeBob rap because I thought it was funny, and I also went into nighttime to get reps so I could play more of the story. While here, I got abused, a typical occurrence from cops at night, to be honest. But I was damaged so badly I was about to bust open wide. However, I drove into a gas station and got my car fixed, also giving me a trophy called At the Last Second for repairing a critical damage at a gas station during night. Amazing. But once I did reach the rep level I needed to, I did my first real major story mission, and it had us follow a girl named Anna, who is probably the most main character in the main story. But you literally just follow her until we stop at a gas station for some goods. A crooked cop then pulls up and basically just confiscates her car. I don't know what's more offensive, that or his haircut, looking like a gay stripper on God. But then you drive back to the garage and a trophy pops from finishing chapter 1 of the story. I then kept on playing through the story, and eventually you do get some side stuff presented to you as well, and these are pretty fun in addition. There is also trophies tied to them, and they just offer up different versions of the races, which is cool. But back to the main stuff. stuff, a few hours later, we again landed with another Anna mission, and this time she was again getting chased by cops. I don't know why the cops hate her so much, but apparently she's super annoying, so if that's the case, then it makes sense. However, the goal of this was for us to just tail them and then take out cops as they came after Anna, trying to keep her health high enough so that she wouldn't die a horrible and painful death in a vehicle. Once doing so, you then go back to the garage, a cutscene plays showing us some characters, and the TV showing Lieutenant Frank Mercer, who is the leader behind all of the crooked cops in the city, and he's basically our biggest op. But then the trophy from Chapter 2 pops after it finishes. Now, I at this point also did purchase the deluxe upgrade for Need for Speed Heat, and some other DLC to give me a little boost in the game's pace because I was tired of using the SpongeBob whip, and I ended up tuning one of the cars I got given to have maximum road traction. I then won a race with that, and I got a trophy called Component Parts for doing that. There is also trophies for having a car with max off-road, drift, and all of those as well. Now, this is when I sort of also took a step away from the way you're supposed to play the game, because I like being high leveled, you know, I like to drive fast cars in car games, and to get the best cars in this game, you have to be high leveled with your rep. So I found the best way to farm rep, and it's at nighttime, obviously. Then on the racetrack, and just get as fast as you can and then hit the same speed trap over and over and over. Once you reach Heat 5, if you get 3 stars on the speed trap, you'll get around 9,000 rep every single time you hit the speed trap. And this isn't a glitch or anything, it's just how the game functions, allowing you to get rewards over and over on the same activities throughout the game. So W developers for not taking that away. And if you're wondering, they did patch quite a few of the more popular farming methods for reps, so yeah, that's that. But I ended up stopping that eventually after I did reach a pretty good level. I then did this race for off-road, and the car I used had an engine swap in it, and also both of the auxiliary part slots are being used. These are just a few garage things you can do if you don't know, but once I did win the race, I got 2 trophies from doing both of those things I just mentioned. We're done on the car, and here they are. Now back to the farming of rep, I decided, it, and I just kept on doing it, trying to get all the trophies from stage 2 while we were at it, because I couldn't stop thinking about being max leveled. So I just sat around and grinded these out. It took quite a few hours, although I did fail a few times and lose a million rep once, which was a tragedy. However, as I did play, I got a trophy from escaping 100 cop chases, and this is because using this method, the cops will give up after a while, and that counts as escaping, obviously. But once that happened for the 100th time, the trophy popped. I then got a trophy which is probably one of the hardest in the game, from earning and banking 1 million rep in a single night. Very self-explanatory and also very hard, mostly because getting 1 million rep to begin with takes forever, but also because at that point the cops hate your guts and are essentially out for blood. My strategy to get rid of them, however, was to use this racetrack clearly, but then wait for the chopper to go refuel and then hit this jump in the track leading out of it, which loses the cops every time unless one of them was outside of it heading in. Then just drive to any safe house. There's one right by the track, but it can be sketchy because the cops sometimes spawn camp by it. However, I did make it to safety, banked my score, and I got the trophy. At this point, I was also almost rep 50, so I tried to farm it out. However, I failed and I got pretty pissed, I'm not gonna lie, so I decided to just let myself hit it through playing the rest of the game naturally. The next trophy I did get, however, was from winning a race with handling parts for maximum race equipped. This is as it sounds, just win a race with parts that give you car the maximum race stat, and here's a trophy once I did win my race. I then did that same thing right after for the trophy relating to maximum drift, and here's that as well. My next 2 trophies were then both from the main story and finishing it in general. First being the Chapter 3 trophy, and inside of Chapter 3 a few things happened. First being us trying to beat this other faction of racers, but that was very easily done with my now OP setup I have from the high level that I am. However, it then ended with Anna and this other dude getting caught by Frank Mercer, but the dude got out of his capture and then crashed his car into Mercer's, saving Anna, and we then had to drive them back to the garage to end it off with that trophy pop. Chapter 4 then had us do yet again another race against that other faction of racers in the game, but the real story thing was us having to chase down Mercer and wreck him to try and take him out because bro is again the main villain of the story running these crooked cops. And taking him down was actually a bit hard, but it is pretty basic because you're just crashing your car into him over and over. Once his health was 0, a cutscene then played out and it showed this chick who was working with him turn on him basically because she was on our side at this point, and it then ends ominously. L sequel setup, EA. We got Unbound next. What the f?
Oh my god!
But here's that trophy pop, and we are now finished with the main story of the game, but not the story trophies in general, which is what I grinded after next. First going after the off-road story's completion, and while doing those races I got a trophy from using maximum off-road parts on my car and winning a race with all of them for this trophy pop. I then just completed the off-road driving story, and these side stories, by the way, are just races with the differing versions of race in the game. Not much actual story happens, but that's fine because it's still fun. I then went out to finish all of the drift side stories and got that trophy right here, along with the normal race driving story next, and finishing all of those was by far the easiest, but the trophy pop just like the others. With those finished, I have now pretty much done both stages 1 and 2, so I moved on to stage 3, which is the collectible and activity grind, the longest, hardest, and most boring grind of the game. But before I did do the activities, which were actually the hard part, I did just get all the collectibles in the game, and they are for the most part very simple to get. A few billboards were a tad annoying and confusing, but overall it's not hard. I also also did have the collectible map bot, which apparently every Need for Speed game has these, and I wish I knew that sooner, goddamn. But using the map marks every collectible in the game, so I just played for a while grabbing them all, finishing off all of the flamingos first for that trophy pop, then I smashed through every single billboard for that trophy, and finally I collected all the street art for the final collectible trophy. And real fast before grinding out the activities, I did get a few random trophies. My first one was from reaching max rep level being 50, and yes, I did use that method just one more time to get it done, because after all the collectibles, I was almost there and I just needed to burst, dude. It's been forever. AI girlfriend is gone now. Hose down, we stay up. I then get a trophy from winning a discovery event, which is just a big long race. Nothing more than that, and after winning it, the trophy pops. I also had a 400 plus rated car at this point, so I got a trophy from winning a race with that, which also popped after the discovery event. I then did one more race before going after activities, and it was from a Heat 5 race. These are a new thing that unlock once you finish the story, but you need to reach Heat level 5 to even begin it. And the race then has you go up against really good people, and obviously cops come after you while you're inside of it. But with a super good car, it really isn't that much different than any other ordinary race. And once you do win it though, you need to return to the garage safely for the trophy to pop, and here it is once I did. So I then grinded out activities, and I'm not gonna lie, these suck. The speed traps and drift zones for the most part are both extremely easy, but those goddamn long jumps in this game are some of the most ass things I've seen a racing game have in a long time. But like I said, the speed traps are easy, and I did them right here for the trophy, and so are the drift zones, which I also did do right here before the jumps, and here's that trophy as well. And due to me not having a car good enough for like 5 jumps that I just couldn't get the 3 stars on, I decided to put the brakes on that and instead do the remaining online trophies that I have, pretty much just from playing 25 online races. So I hit up my Discord, and huge thanks to everyone that helped, including Risa05, Gumball Messi, Biggie Cheese. Also, f you Biggie Cheese, that car app you were using is evil. Follow me on Instagram, link below to see funny things I post, by the way. Okay, thanks. Anyways, huge shout out and thank you to Anthony for helping, and whoever else helped that I haven't mentioned or just couldn't find in my recording, thank you very much. But there's 2 trophies here, first from just playing 5 online races, and then 25 online races. Very simple, just complete 25 of them. You don't need to win them also, so it's not hard, it just takes quite a few hours to do, and it did for me. But with that done, I then actually went and did a few more easy trophies before strapping in for the jumps one more time. I customized my car with a wrap that I made myself, which is very easy, and a trophy. I then changed the text on my license plate, and I tried to make it say boobs, but they wouldn't let me. So I made it say jugs instead, which I think is actually better, so thank you game, and here's that trophy. And also at this point I tuned my exhaust sound, added effects in every slot in my car, and then I won a race with both of these equipped, which was 2 more trophies popping easily. I then played another easy race, let myself lose the entire time till the final lap, and then I raced past the AI and I won it for a trophy called Comeback Kid, just like the Kim K video. My next trophy, however, was then from the long jump completion. And long story short, for anyone trying this game to get the platinum, completing long jumps to 3 stars does not necessarily require a super fast car, and I found that the Ford Raptor and G-Wagon were actually great at jumps, and I used them to finish these up because my RSR, even though it was super good, just didn't have a lot of airtime on it, and that hindered my jump length greatly. So research what cars are good at jumps. A lot of weird ones are because they're weird, but once I did do them all, the trophy popped. And also that trophy from all the collectibles and 3 stars on activities right along with it, which was 2 more trophies, so that's funny. I then had one more easy trophy in the game, just beat a crew time trial. So I just found an easy one to do, beat it, and I got the trophy. With only 2 more trophies remaining, you would think that we are done, but I hate to say that we just aren't. Not at all. First, I have to take down 100 cops, which is stupid as shit. And I say this because cops, even if you hit them full fucking speed, it will most likely do nothing. Yeah, you just bump right off of them. But then I have to hit 240 miles per hour in a car, which is impossible on pretty much every car besides the Koenigsegg Regera. I know I just butchered that, but feel free to comment like you people will. And getting that car requires $1.2 million, which I do not have. Yeah, I just don't have that at all. But getting the 100 cops wrecked first, I did it by just crashing into them over and over. All the methods to get this easily have been patched, unfortunately, so this is what's left, and yeah, it sucks. Took me a while, I got super upset, frustrated, all of the above. However, once doing 100, the trophy pops. There also isn't a way to track this, so you just gotta do it until you get the trophy. I then played races giving high money for about an hour straight to get up to 1.2 million to buy the Regera. Very boring, but more so because I was ready to be done with this game, I'm not gonna lie. Need for Speed Heat is very fun, but damn, playing it for 12 hours a day is a pain, I'm not gonna lie. Eventually, I did have enough for the car, however, so I bought it. Then I found a good road to get up to 240 on before crashing, and I literally tickled 240, then immediately went down, but the trophy still popped, and the Platinum Trophy on Need for Speed Heat. So that was the Need for Speed Heat Platinum Trophy experience. Overall, I think the game is good. I don't really have any major complaints besides the cops being insanely annoying, however, that is also the fun in it. So that's not a bad thing, just a feature if you will. I don't think the next video I post will be a Need for Speed one, but I will have another coming right after that, so stay tuned for more, and thank you all for watching. My ass is on fire right now. Do not eat Chipotle past 10 p.m. on God.